Well, the Midnight Society is back, but whether that's a good thing or not is still kind of up in the air. Hey everybody, Ryan Reed here. And in case you don't know, I am a huge Are You Afraid of the Dark fan. I'm a huge fan of the original show from the 90s. I used to watch it every weekend. I love that show. I have the DVDs. It's something I watch fairly regularly. You know, of course, it's cheesiness at its best, but it is some of the best anthology, shows around. For a kid, at least, it was a great way to be introduced not only to horror, but horror anthologies. And obviously, Are You Afraid of the Dark has a massive cult following. So much so, well, along with the same way as most 90s Nickelodeon, but Are You Afraid of the Dark specifically so much so that they've decided to reboot it. In case you don't know, originally it was going to be a movie. They were going to do a movie that was supposed to be out this year, and then they were going to do a movie and a new series, and then they've kind of just scrapped the movie, it seems like, and they settled on this mini-series that they're doing. It was supposed to air tonight, actually, Friday. But Nick Rewind, the kind of 90s Nickelodeon channel, which also has a YouTube channel, they uploaded it directly to their YouTube channel. So you can go watch the first episode of this new 2019 Are You Afraid of the Dark right now. It's 45 minutes, and they're supposed to be an hour each, and it's 3 episodes. So doing a 3-episode run on it. First of all, there are some really cool things about this. I just like the idea of having Are You Afraid of the Dark back. The first 5 seasons are amazing. Seasons 6 and 7 are questionable, but I mean that was still partly the original Midnight Society, and this is a whole new Midnight Society. So if you haven't seen this episode yet, again, go to the Nick Rewind YouTube channel. You can watch the first episode there, and come back because I'm going to do some minor spoilers, talk about some minor spoilers of things. Kind of delve into what I like, what I don't like, but I'm going to try not to ruin it too much in case you kind of want to hear what I have to say, and then go watch it. But first thing, the things I really liked. The show is very stylish. It's very cinematic. It knows how to frame its shots really well. It feels like a bigger project than it is. Instead of just being a 3-episode mini TV series, it feels like this is kind of what the movie would have looked like, or at least my estimation. They even kind of reshoot the intro, the Are You Afraid of the Dark, very famous intro in their own style. And it works for this. I mean, it's not the classic, of course, but I wasn't expecting that. You know, going in as a fan, I knew I was going to have some preferences to the original material, but I was very open to a new version of it. You know, this is an Are You Afraid of the Dark that's really for people who have never seen Are You Afraid of the Dark or have only heard of it. You know, it is still aimed at a younger audience, but they're also trying to bring in the nostalgic crowd, people like me, people my age. So yeah, the movie, the miniseries, however you want to put it, is shot really well. They use their hues really effectively. There's a lot of blues and bright reds that pop, and they contradict each other and contrast, I guess is the better way to put that. They contrast each other really, really well. There's a lot of atmosphere in this movie. I keep wanting to call it a movie. It's a mini-series, but it's very cinematic, so I have to applaud them. It makes me think of it as a movie. There's a lot of atmosphere. The set design is really, really cool, especially when they get to parts with the Midnight Society. I don't know if they shot on location or not, but what they did, any sort of set dressing, it really, really works for this story. It feels like a bigger version of Are You Afraid of the Dark, something with a bigger budget. Some of the acting is really good too. Unfortunately, I apologize, I didn't get a chance to look up any actors beforehand. The kid who plays Ben in It, the kid version, he's in this, and he plays kind of a like a horror movie buff, kind of germaphobe kid, and he's really good. I mean, no surprise, he was great in It. He's really good in this as well, and he brings a character to life that easily could have been kind of flat and two-dimensional. He really, really works. Some of the other cast is fine. The main character, she does a good job with the material that she's presented. That's kind of where we start to get into the problems with the project, is the material, some of the scripting issues. Not so much the dialogue. The dialogue is okay. It's what I expect. A lot of it has to do with the characters. Now, the original Are You Afraid of the Dark had a lot of archetypes, a lot of basic characters. Gary was the leader, Tucker was the annoying little brother, things like that. They introduce these characters, and they're very basic, kind of like one-dimensional archetypes. But the cool thing about the Midnight Society in the original show was you got to see different sides of these characters. They weren't always those flat, two-dimensional, hey, you're the jock, you're the bully. They had layers to them. Also, on top of it, the Midnight Society only bookended it. Again, Are You Afraid of the Dark was originally an anthology series, so basically you had, if you have 22 to 24 minutes to tell a story, you probably have 20 minutes of main story and then 2 minutes of the bookends. Really, you're only spending like 4 or 5 minutes with the Midnight Society. So, again, setting them up as kind of archetypes, but getting to see them week in, week out, that helped the show a lot because you kind of knew what character told what type of story, and you could, basically grasp the idea of what the Midnight Society story was right then and there. Um, the problem with this is that the new version is trying to tell a story that takes place outside of just telling stories. So it's not an anthology. The basic concept, they talk about it in the trailer and stuff, but the basic concept is that they introduce the main character. She's new. She's the new girl in town. She doesn't make friends very easily. And she kind of gets inducted into the Midnight Society, and she tells this story about the Carnival of Doom. But then the Carnival of Doom actually comes to life. It is a real thing. And so it's about these kids kind of dealing with it. Kind of the same way they did with the last few episodes of Are You Afraid of Dark? I believe it's the Silver Sight. That episode also deals with, the legend coming true. And that's very much what this is as well. But again, because we're spending more time with these characters, those archetypes don't work. There's one character who wants to be a director, and she's very kind of like theatrical, like in terms of like over the top. They make her character like she's a like intense director or something of that nature. Incredibly like, this is my craft and I need to craft. And it's like, I took plenty of film classes in high school. No kid acts like that. No kid is like, this is my craft and I am serious. And it's a very kind of film production-y way to paint a kid who's into movies, which I didn't like. The main character as well, there's some problems with her character, I thought, is that, like, we've seen this story a billion times. She's supposed to be the, like, average, the average new girl, and, like, she's supposed to be weird because she wears skull earrings and reads H.P. Lovecraft and draws, and it's like, ooh, she's an outsider, and it's like, I mean, I get it, again, it's aimed at kids, but those aren't traits of an outsider. Those are traits of a stereotype of an outsider. And I don't mean that in terms of it's okay to wear skull earrings. It's okay I read Lovecraft all the time. But, like, what I mean is, like, those are the kind of, like, textbook definitions of, like, this is the outsider. So we're going to put that in the movie so everybody knows she's an outsider. And it would have been better to, maybe she is an artist. Maybe, but the way they portray the whole thing is very kind of, like, it's a character we've seen a billion times. Again, the actor does the best she can with it, but it's kind of hit or miss. There's also a kind of pseudo love interest, at least for the first episode. He's the boy next door, and he seems like he's kind of like mysterious, and it's like he's just boring. He's just a boring character. Again, like I've said again like 50 times, but this is an again situation in that, like, we've seen this type of story in kids projects and, regular films, everything. You've always seen the outsider character really likes the more, like, broody, popular character. And it's just like, they could have done better with that. Now, granted, the one thing I will say is this is episode 1. So maybe we do get to see different sides of these characters. But considering they had 45 minutes to really set these characters up, and a lot of them are just kind of, again, archetypes. They're not true people. I had a problem with that because I wanted to. Now, again, it balances out. You have some characters who are really well-rounded, and maybe that's the actors, doing the best they can with the material, and, giving that to a well-rounded actor, you can do more with it. But nobody is a bad actor. That's the weird thing, is I wouldn't say anybody's a bad actor. It's just that a lot of the characters aren't written the best. The only odd acting choices I saw is that there are parents in it. One is her mom, the main character's mom, and she's got weird inflections and, like, weird choices. And then in a flashback, or the story that the main character tells, which is presumably also like a flashback, we kind of get hints that, she dreamed of this, and it's maybe something that happened to her, she doesn't remember or whatever. But like, the parents in that are weird too. They're like really over the top and really like they're not quite as bad as the mom slash aunt in Sleepaway Camp, but they're heading that way. Very like big and oh and ooh, and it's like why? These are weird choices considering no one else in the movie is acting like that. So that was bizarre. And like at first when the mom's introduced, I thought, oh, she's just they're trying to create like a comic relief, quirky mom character. But then like there's scenes later on where she's like talking to her in the car. She's talking to her daughter in the car, and she's like, saying weird things like "I'm your biggest fan." It's like the way she says it is very odd. Granted, the original Are You Afraid of the Dark did not always have the best acting, but that was the acting. I mean, this was a low budget Nickelodeon show, made in Canada, and it's like that. Those they probably weren't getting always the highest, caliber of actors. Whereas this just feels like it's a choice, and it's very baffling. Now, as far as the scares go in it, again, you're looking at a show for a younger audience, but I thought some of it was really effective. The opening is really, really creepy. It's an opening dream sequence, and that's really unsettling and really weird and really creepy. And it's like sets the tone for everything. And then later on, again during the story that the main character is telling at the Midnight Society, which by the way they changed some things with the Midnight Society I don't particularly like, but she's telling this story, and it's at a circus. It's the Circus of Doom, and there's a clown who's at the opening of the circus, like welcoming people in and stuff. And he flips up his glasses and his eyes are gone, and it's like really almost gruesome, like almost borderline like PG-13 territory. I was kind of shocked by that moment. I was like, wow. The other thing is that the circus is very atmospheric. Now, there are moments where it's not really scary, like the main villain, they call him Mr. Top Hat, and there's a moment where like scorpions come out of his pants, and like, that's not really scary. But again, I'm 29 years old, maybe to like a 10-year-old, that would be scary. This guy's weird, he's creepy, he eats a scorpion, scorpions come out of his pants, like I get it, that's a weird thing. But to me, I was like, he was creepier before that, and you just showed a clown with no eyes, which was far more terrifying than scorpions, so whatever. But again, it's a balancing thing. Now, the other thing I'm not a huge fan of is the way they've kind of changed the Midnight Society, and I get it, they have to expand upon it, but in the show, the Midnight Society, the way you got them is very simple. Someone had to bring you into an initiation. They had to, tell the rest of the Midnight Society, hey, I want to bring this person in. They brought them in, they put a bag on their head, so they couldn't see where they were going, and then when they got there, they took the bag. No, incorrect. And then when they got there, they had to tell the story, and I believe that they had to tell the story. Well, there's two different ways. One time it was in Frank's case, he just had a blindfold on, and so he couldn't see them. But then in another case, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think with the character named Spike, they had a bag on his head the whole time, so you couldn't see who he was or something like that. It's been a little bit since I've seen that episode. But yeah, so the idea is that they're just bringing them in, they're blindfolded, they can't see, and so that's about it. In this new version, they tell a story, the Midnight Society has to vote on it, and then if it's a unanimous vote, they're in. In the new version, the Midnight Society, they carry, torches around, and they wear these, blank face, cracked baby masks, and it's again, I get it's a stylistic thing, but, the idea of the Midnight Society was it was supposed to be hey, this is a group of kids from school that maybe are friends outside of class, maybe aren't, but they all gather for this one reason, it's to tell stories. It felt like a group of your friends. It felt like something you and your friends would do. Get together, tell scary stories around a campfire. That was the whole point of it. That's what made it fun, was they felt like normal kids. Here, if that's how someone was introduced to the Midnight Society in the original one, these creepy masks and these messages they had to, they were putting in her locker where she has to answer questions and stuff, which was an okay idea, but, then you see these, I'd be, running. It'd be, calling the police. And, of course, it's, she sits there and she talks to them and then, figures out that some of them are her classmates and stuff. But it's just a really weird introduction to the Midnight Society. As someone who knows what the Midnight Society was, it's kind of a weird change of pace. But again, this is not aimed directly at me. It's aimed at the people who want that nostalgia, yes, of course. People who like the show, yes, of course. But it's also aimed at a new generation. And so for that, I can't fault it. But I'm curious to see where it goes. I'm like 50-50 on it. Moments of it I really, really liked. Moments of it I was like, this is, I don't know what they're doing. These weird choices. So I'm curious to see what happens with it, where it goes, what they do from now on. But yeah, please go check it out. If you want, go to the Nick Rewind YouTube channel. Check out the first episode. And I believe episodes are going to air every Friday. So the first one actually airs on TV tonight as of this recording. And then the next one is next week. And I think this is just kind of, they wanted to get it out there so people could see it first and get hyped about it. Then it worked. I'm doing a review on it. If you're a nostalgic fan of Are You Afraid of the Dark or 90s Nickelodeon or whatever, go check it out. You might like it. You know, you're not going to be bored at any point. There were no times I was watching and I was like, this is just awful. No, it was just weird choices, and I don't know why they did some of the things. But, again, they're setting up this new universe, this new version of the Midnight Society, and we'll see. Maybe there will be more callbacks to other things later on. But for now, it's worth a look. It's worth enjoying. See if you dig it, and then we will see where it goes from there. As for my channel, please subscribe if you like this type of content. If you want to see me review some other things, like other Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes, or, you know, other shows, please let me know. I'd be happy to review whatever people recommend. We also have a bunch of stuff on this channel if you like that type of content. Number one is Fright Films. It's my horror movie review show. You can check that out for sure. It's been a few weeks since we've had a new episode, but I've got a new one coming out next week, and I'm really excited about it. We've got a lot of Halloween content coming up, which is really, really cool. Some awesome things planned and some nostalgic things planned, so check that out. On top of that, you can check out other episodes of Impromptu Reviews, which is this show where I just talk about whatever's on my mind with whatever movie or show or, you know, whatever I just watched. So you can check those out. And then you can also check out the Paranormal Tapes, which is my true life paranormal show where I interview people I know about their supernatural experiences. And I've also got a bunch of other stuff on the channel, food reviews, all kinds of weird things. So check it out. Please subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out if you can. Click the notification bell, yada yada. You know, every other YouTuber says the same thing. But really, it does help me. It helps you. And I can't wait to make some more content for you guys. So please subscribe if you get a chance, and I will talk to you next time. All right.